number 12. And immediately he arose, took up his bed, went forth before them all, insomuch that they were all amazed and glorified God. Check this out, saying, we never saw it on this fashion. I want to talk about nobody like him. And if I could get southern and country with my dialect, I talk about ain't nobody like him. No, ain't nobody like him. Ain't nobody like him. You can search the world over and you will find not another like him. Hunt your neighbor and say, ain't nobody like him. Mark chapter number 2 moves along where we see a man who is paralyzed get brought to Jesus. If you look at verse 1, underline the word again, because the text says, and again he entered into Capernaum after some days. The first point I want to bring from this text, as I let the text teach itself, is we see the failure of this man. Pastor, I don't see failure. All I see is, and again he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noise that he was in the house. The man's failure was to not take advantage of opportunity when it knocked on his doors. This man's failure was he missed the opportunity to get healed, delivered, and relieved from his paralysis, because the text, Tanya and Evangelist, says that again he entered into Capernaum. Now, those of you who remember your Sunday school lesson, you know Capernaum was his earthly headquarters. So if it says that again he entered into Capernaum, that lets me know that he had previously, Mary, been in Capernaum. And if you flip back to chapter number 1, you will discover in verse 21, and they went into Capernaum, and straightway on the Sabbath day he entered into the synagogue or the church on the Sabbath, the worship and rest day, and he taught. Verse number 22, and they were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one that had authority, and not as the scribes. And there was in the synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried, saying, let us alone. What have we do, Jesus of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee, thou Holy One. And Jesus rebuked him, saying, hold thy peace, and come out of him. And when the unclean spirit had torn him, and cried with a loud voice, he came out of him. So if the man Snoop lives in Capernaum, he's paralyzed, and Jesus is at the church doing some healing, he failed to get his deliverance because he was not at the meeting. Did y'all hear what I said? If one is at the meeting that get delivered from demon, had the man been at the meeting, perhaps he would have got delivered from his paralysis. There is, okay, let me help somebody. There is a danger when you constantly miss the meeting, because there is healing at the meeting. There's deliverance at the meeting. There's restoration at the meeting. And many of you have failed in the past because you missed the meeting when you promised you were going to the meeting. I don't know why. DJ, the man, missed the meeting. Perhaps he was in the wrong place. Perhaps he was hanging with the wrong folk. Perhaps they had told him they at the church getting healed. And you know how sick people are. They can be mean as a snake. They can be ornery. And maybe somebody came to him and said, we need to get you to the synagogue. The man said, I ain't going nowhere. I'm fine. I don't know why he didn't get there. The fact of the matter is he didn't get there, but that's not all. Jesus then leaves there and go to Simon and Andrew's house and heals Peter's mother-in-law. And then move down to verse number 32. And at even when the sun did set, they brought unto him all that were diseased, and them that were possessed with devil, and all the city gathered together at the door. Verse 34. And he healed many that were sick of diverse diseases, and cast out devils, so the devil not speak, because they knew him. So not only did they miss the meeting, glory to God, at the church, they missed the meeting down by the river. Failure. And see, sometimes Miss Edna and Reverend and Mrs. Brown, sometimes opportunity only knocks on your door once. How many of us are in the position that we are in now? Because when opportunity knocked on the door, we were in the wrong place, we were in, or we were hanging around the wrong people, or we had the wrong frame of mind. Devil, how in the world is God going to open the doors for our young girls and they are too pregnant to go through the door? How in the world is God going to keep opening the door for our young men and their pants are too far down to get in the door, or they are too incarcerated to get through the door? Sometimes opportunity doesn't knock twice. Well, let me lay this in somebody's lap. Young lady, the reason you're 45 and never had a husband is because God kept sending you one, but you kept denying and rejecting what God sent you, and opportunity may not knock again. Woo, y'all mighty quiet. He failed to get there the first time. But here's what I want you to understand. Here, what I want you to understand about the text is that he failed. That was in the past. And I have about 25 of y'all to understand that all of us have had some failures in our past. I have failed. You have failed. He has failed. Can I help somebody? Get out of the rearview mirror. Ain't nothing back there in the past. Check this out. Write this down. Don't get stuck in the past. Don't live in the past, but learn from your past. Philippians chapter 3, verse 12, 13, Paul says, I, forgetting those things which are behind me. Punch somebody and say, forget about that. Forget about that. Give it a guy. You did it. You did it. You did it. You did it. Tell somebody, forget about that. You failed. Get over it. He says, I forget. He says, I ain't reached perfection, but I'm striving. He said, I'm forgetting those things which are behind. Here's what I do. I press towards the mark of the high calling in Jesus. Anybody here pressing? Okay, maybe I ought to preach to myself. Anybody here pressing? You hadn't reached perfection yet. You still got some rough end. You still got some issues. But I am pressing towards tomorrow. Diane, God sent me by here to tell about 25 3/3 of you all that he is a God of another chance. I know y'all wanted to say he's a God of a second chance. But anybody over here will raise that left hand and say, I blew that second chance long time ago. Anybody over here will raise that right hand and say, I blew that second chance. I'm on my 355th chance. I'm on my 1,899 chance. I used them up a long time ago, but thank God that he is a God of a second chance and a God of a third chance. So we might as well just sum it up. He's a God of a Matthew 18, 21, 22. You don't have to turn to it. Peter comes to Jesus and said, Jesus, I know God's perfect number is 7. He said, so here's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to forgive my brother 7 times. Jesus said, Peter, how good is your mathematics? How good did you learn your 7 multiplication table? He said, because I don't want you to forgive them 7 times, but I want you to multiply that 7 times 70 and come up with a number that represents an infinite amount of time. What are you saying? Jesus will not ask us to do something that he is not willing to do. And if he says he will forgive us and give us another chance, then I declare, he'll give us another chance. Do I have witness in the house? I said he'll give us another chance. And you know, Deacon Vernon, every day that we wake up to see a new day, it's a chance for us to get it right. Every day we wake up, it's another opportunity for us to get it right. We see the failure, but how many folk in here know, even while that failure doesn't have to be final? Bible said, the proverb writer says, Deacon Jackson, a good man falls 7 times. But he doesn't stay down. He learns how. Can I help somebody? Can I encourage you to get up? Can I encourage you? Yeah, you fail. Can I encourage you to get up? Can I encourage you to dust yourself off? Can I encourage you to sew your head up? Can I encourage you? Can I encourage you that if you fall, yeah. Number 1, we see the failure. Look at the text, chapter 2, verse 1. Again, he entered into Capernaum, his earthly headquarters, after some days, and it was noise. So he returns, and somebody reports it. Look at the text. And it was noise. Somebody told it. Candace and little Candace, they said, he back in town. Isn't it good to know that he is back in town? Son-in-law, they said, Jesus is not only back in town, but he's in the house. He's in the house, and in the house represents another opportunity to get it right. So I moved the failure. Everybody say failure. Everybody say failure ain't final. Second point is the text is about friends. It's about failure. Look at the text. He come to Capernaum, and some days it was noise that he was in the house. That's verse 1. Straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, nor about the door, and he preached to them. Verse 3, and they, underline the word they. They, again, reminds us of his failure in verse 1. They, in verse 3, shows us he got some friends. Check this out. Check this out, Ms. Edwards and Deacon Mitty Reeves. He only has 4. Which tells me in my inner circle ought to be, the maximum ought to be 4. Now, I don't really know with any authenticity, validity, and certainty that they were friends, because you know sometimes your enemies will carry you longer and further than your friend, but we're going to assume because they did so much for him that he had some friends. You know, all of us need. I know you think you're island. I know you think you can do it all by yourself, but everybody needs Some friends. But let me help somebody here. Be careful who you call friends. Don't confuse associates with friends. Don't confuse people who God has sent. I didn't make this up. I heard a lady say that. Don't confuse people who are on assignment with people who are looking to attachment. Don't confuse people who attach themselves to you because they have an agenda, and people who are assigned to you because they have a mandate from God, because everybody that's attached to you has not been assigned to you. Boy, I wish I had my normal crowd here. People that are attached to you are like a sponge. They just soaking and sucking and draining. I mean, people are they draining. They taking all the time. Yeah. You know them. They always taking. Always needing. Mouth always in G or L. Give me a lemon. You go to club, you got to drive. Y'all going to drink, you got to supply the liquor. Y'all smoking weed, you got to supply the bag. Ain't no sense of y'all laughing, because ain't no sense of y'all sniggling. You know y'all got some weed eaters right here. Sit around certain folk right now, you'll get high as they are. But that's between you and God. Come just as you are. I'll preach that reefer the hell out you. And when I get through preaching that reef out of them, I'm going to preach that hell out you. I'm going to preach that mess out you. I'm going to preach that gossip out of you. And then I'm going to ultimately come down your alley. That's why the Bible said, whosoever will, let him come. Ah! Hey! Boy, y'all mighty quiet in the back. Everybody say friend. Everybody say I need a few friends. Check this out. Let me tell you how to evaluate your friends. The first thing that these friends had was compassion. Proverbs 17:17 says, a friend it loveth all of the time. And a brother is born when you're going through something. You want to know who your friends are? Get paralyzed and see what they do. You want to know who your friends are? Get broke and see what they do. You want to know who your friends are? Go to jail and see what they do. You want to know who your friends are? Get down and see. I tell you what you do. You want to know who your real friends are? Let them repossess your house. Let them repossess your car. And then you will see who your real. They loved him. How do I know? Because love is not what love says. Love is what love does. Anybody here ever went through something and folk fell off you, walked away from you, turned their back on you? People you thought were going to be there for you was the first one that hightailed away. Your friends ought to love you. And they ought to express that love through action. Thank God, Diane, for my few friends. Because I love them and they love me. I don't question their love for me. I don't question their compassion for me. Because, see, I know how to love my friend. That the Bible says in order to get a friend, you must first show yourself friendly. See, I know how to be a friend. I know how to be there when you're in trouble. I know how to come see about you when you're paralyzed. I know how to be there with you. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to, come on and talk to me, somebody. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But at the end of the day, we're going to love each other. Real friend can fall out, but don't fall away. Real friend, when you're in the street, I'm not talking about now just say, but when you're in the street, real friends can cuss each other out and act like ain't nothing happened. Child, what you doing? Let's go eat. Child, I ain't mean that. We all right. Yeah, you did mean it, but we still all right. Because I meant it when I said it, but we still all right. Number one, your friend ought to have compassion is in the text. Check this out. Because number two, your friends ought to challenge you. Help me, somebody. Now, I don't know this to be a fact, so I don't want to eisegete the text. So that I don't eisegete the text, I'm going to say, I can imagine perhaps they challenged him and told him, sister-in-law, the last time Jesus was in town, we tried to get you to him. You didn't want to go. This time you going one way or another. See, you ought to have some friends that will challenge you to change. Come on, help me, somebody. You ought to have friends in your life that will tell you the truth. Okay, y'all gonna make me go down that alley again. Y'all have some friend that tell you, you go out too much. They read your husband run around on you because you're going out too much. Y'all have friend, good enough, close enough to tell you, baby, you frying, you eating too much greasy food. We trying to keep you around here. You messing your arteries up and come on. You drank too much liquor. You messing you need people to tell you the truth about you. Stop smoking all them cigarettes. That's why you're doing all that coughing. Maybe they challenged him. Maybe they said, man, we getting you to Jesus, Mr. and Mary Dick McRae. We getting you to Jesus one way or the other. They had compassion. Perhaps they challenged him. But after having compassion and challenge, check this out, they carried him. I ain't making it up. They came to him bringing one sick or palsy and were born of four. Do you have at least 4 people in your life will carry you when you can't carry yourself? Now, in order to carry him, they had to, Miss Manetta, they had to cooperate one with another. Let me speed this up, Bonnie, Mary, Ann, and Mary. Let me speed it up. In order for them to carry him, the first thing they had to do was to have cooperation among each other. And be careful when you got people carrying you that don't like each other. They subject to drop you anywhere. See, that's the challenge, Reverend Brown, of a pastor. He has folk that love him but can't stand one another. I got folks sitting right here that love me but can't stand one another. How you gonna carry me and y'all can't even agree where we going? Did we feel? When you got folk carrying you that don't like each other, it's like a giraffe yoked with a rat. You got one hooked up way up there. You got the other one hooked way down here. They ain't going nowhere. Woo, I'm preaching this, Ben, y'all talking. They carried him, say carry him. Everybody wake up and say carry him. They had compassion to friends. They challenged him. They carried him, which means they had to cooperate. But then they knew where to take him. And they knew where to leave him. Mr. and Mrs. Love, everybody here, can I ask you a question? Do you have 4 friends that know where to carry you and where to leave you? Because, see, they knew where to carry him. They said, we getting you to Jesus. We hear he back in the house. He back in Capernaum. We getting you to Jesus. And they take the man. They organize. They are carrying his little pallet. And when they get to the house, there's a crowd blocking their entrance. Let me help somebody. When you make it up in your mind that you are going to do better, get better, be careful, because the devil is going to throw a block. Look at the text. Look at the text. He was born of 4, palsy, born of 4, verse 4. And when they could not come in for the press of the crowd, so they get to the door. They bring this man all the way to Peter's house. And they got him on a little cot, each man carrying his load, cooperating together. They reached their destiny and can't get in. Check this out. Can't get in. I ain't making it up. They could not come in because the crowd was too large. In other words, Marcus, they got to the back door and wouldn't nobody let them through. Now, I'm not going to criticize those who wouldn't let them through because I don't know what their need was. It's easy for us to look in somebody's house and see what's going on and don't know the fact. Maybe, just maybe, they didn't let them in because, check this out, I got here first. I got a problem just like you. I need to get to him just like you. Y'all know how we are. If it had been me, I would have said, what makes you Johnny come lately? You had the same opportunities I had to get here. I got up at 5:30 to be here by 10 o'clock. You want to get here by 10:30? No, you just out of luck. They wouldn't let him in. If it had been some of you, all you would have given up. So, okay, cool, Lord, just ain't your will. The devil is a lie. You need some friends that are not only compassionate, that not only can challenge you, that not only carry you, know where to leave you, know where to take you, but you need some friends that's crazy. Bump me, man. I said you need some friends that's crazy. Hey! I need some friends I said I need some friends that's crazy. I don't mean lunatic crazy where they're going to break the law. I'm talking about crazy where they will get crazy radical to make sure I get what God has promised me. They couldn't get on the down floor. They couldn't get in the door that was down, so that forced them to look up. I wish I had about 5 of y'all that the door downstairs has been shut. But the reason the door downstairs have been shut is so that you could go up higher, so that you can declare, I will lift up my eye unto the hills From where cometh my help? My help, it comes from the Lord. Is there anybody here that's been running into some closed doors? I stopped by to tell you that the closed door was a purpose. The door downstairs, it was closed for a purpose, so you can climb higher. There is healing if you climb higher. There is peace if you climb higher. Is there anybody here that's looking to go higher? I'm glad that he had some crazy friends. They said, no, we didn't come all the way here to let you down. We didn't come and bring you all the way here to turn around and to take you back home just like you came. Somebody said, we've been closed down here. What about going up there? I wish I had about 5 of y'all that understand God has a way you can't go over. God has a way you can't go under. God has a way you can't go through. You must come in at the door. Good evening, Mount Vernon. I'm glad he had some crazy friends. They climbed on the roof and they said, if I can't go in down through the door, I'll make my own door. Is there anybody here that's ready to make your own door? Good evening, Reverend Brown. Goodbye, sister-in-law. Adios, Bonnie Mary. Miss Etna, I'm gone now. But is there anybody here? Is there anybody here that's ready to make your own door? Because you are determined. I've come too far to turn around now. They took the man up on top of the house, began to tear down or tear up the man's roof. I don't know, but you got to have some crazy friends. If they take you on top of a man's house, tear up the man's house. I said, what you doing? The man probably said, what are y'all doing? They said, no, you go get healed because we didn't come this far to turn around now. They lowered, I wish I had a witness here. I said they lowered the man down and the man got before Jesus. Is there anybody here that's glad you've been lowered down at the foot of Jesus? Didn't he heal your body? Didn't he save your soul? Didn't he make you whole? Ain't nobody like my Jesus. If you're not too mean and you're not too low down and you know you got crazy friends and you know you got friends that'll carry you and you know you got friends that challenge you and you know you got friends that love you. Would you get on your feet and give God some praise? Thank God for a few friends. And if you're not too mean, grab your neighbor's hand and look him in the eye and say, neighbor, ain't nobody like my Lord. Ain't nobody like my Lord. Ah, no, it ain't. Ah, no, it ain't. Ah, ah, no, it ain't. Sit down. I got 5 minutes. Oh, yeah. Seem like the more I praise him, the better I feel. And the better I feel, the more I praise him. Anybody in the building that just love to praise his name? Anybody here? Y'all sit down. Watch this. Y'all give me 5 minutes. The text teaches us about failure. Everybody say failure. Everybody say failure is not final. And it teaches us about friendship. Friends, they had compassion, they challenged, they carried him, they were creative and crazy. They let the man down before Jesus at his feet, but then the text is about faith and forgiveness. Verse 5. And when Jesus saw there, circle the word there. Now we really don't know who there is. We don't know if it means the four or the four plus the man that's paralyzed. We don't know. But what we do know is at least two had faith. Because you can't have a there without two. That lets me know that sometimes it ain't my faith that get me delivered. It's your faith connected with somebody else's faith, because where there are two or three assembled and agreed, he's in. Okay, I wish I had my witness. Sometimes it ain't your faith, but it's those that carry in you faith. Now, the man had to have faith also, because he had to have faith in the folk, but he had to have the faith that when they let him down, that Jesus could do something. So probably he's talking about all five of them, but we don't know for sure. Just know that he admonished them for having faith. Okay? But then he says, thy sins be forgiven. All right, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. They brought Jesus, this man, because the man was paralyzed. Not because he was a sinner. So if I'm on top of the roof and have gone through all that, I'm going to look down and say, Jesus, what you up to? Ain't nobody asked you to heal, to forgive him. We asked you to heal him. Yeah, but we had a hard enough time getting him here. Now when we get him here, you change the agenda. Anybody here know any way he bless you, you all be satisfied? Jesus said your sin forgiven, Marvin, for two reasons, Evangelist Ford. Number one, it was so the man could get saved. He was more concerned about the man's salvation than he was about healing the man. Okay? Don't get it twisted. The main thing Jesus wants from you is to get you saved. And after you get saved, then he wants to get you healed and delivered. Okay. But more importantly, Ms. Carlisle, he wanted to poke the bear. See, I get criticized for poking the bear. What do you mean by poking the bear? There were some scribes sitting in the audience. And he needed to stir them up because they had some bad theology. So Jesus pokes the bear. Look at verse 6. But there were certain scribes. Scribes were the theologians, the PhDs, the translators of the scripture, sitting there and reasoning in their hearts. So know what they said? They said, why is this man blaspheming? Blaspheme means to speak out against. And they says, who can forgive sin but God only? What Jesus is doing is trapping them in their own words. See, the Jews believed that you could not get healed until you were first forgiven. And only God could forgive. So Jesus takes their theology and throws it back at them. Look at the text. Verse 7. Why does man thus speak blasphemy? Who can forgive sins but God only? They said only God had the power to forgive sin. So if God has the only one that had power to forgive sin, then God has the only one that has power to heal. Because in order to be healed, you must first be forgiven. Okay? Verse 8. And immediately when Jesus perceived the spirit that they read within themselves, he said to them, why y'all talking about that? Then he says in verse 9, he said, which is easier for me to say? Thy sin be forgiven? When you don't know whether they forgiven or not. But y'all got a way of knowing according to your law. Because your law says that if he's forgiven, he can be healed. And the one that does the forgiving is the one that does the healing. So which is easier for me to say, thou sins forgiven, or get up and walk? Because I can't say get up and walk unless I have first said you forgiven. Are y'all following me? Verse number 10. But they said, but that ye may know that the Son of Man basically is God. So that you may know that I have power to forgive sin. So that you may know that I am equal with God. That I am God. So that you may know that I got power to not only heal, but power to wash away every sin. Watch what I'm going to do. He says, verse 11, rise. That bed that they brought you here on, give me some salt, brother, before I start hollering. Take up your bed. Get out of this house and go to your own house. You came in through the roof. You're going out through the door. I wish I had somebody here that would get excited because you came in one way, but you ain't going out the way you came in. 12 and I'm through. And immediately he rose, took up his bed, and went forth before them all. They were amazed, they glorified God. And I know what they said. I plan on starting and going doing some Baptist preaching here, but we never saw it on this fashion. What he's saying? Ain't nobody like him. Ain't nobody. Ain't nobody. That's it, y'all. Y'all give God some praise. That's it. That's it. That's it. If you enjoyed this.